Hello everyone, I'm Krasi and I will be informing you about very important, maybe I always say very important, but it is very important event, which is that on 12th of January, Mars is becoming direct, 12th, 13th of January, and also 18th, 19th of January, Mercury is becoming direct, but this is, because due to the fast nature of Mercury, I will not consider this as important as the direct motion of Mars. So as you know, since last year until 17th of March of 2023, for a very long period of 8 months, Mars will be in Taurus. So while Mars is in Taurus, just to remind you, this energy of Mars is very interesting. To tell you honestly, I don't consider this particular Mars, who classically is called fallen or detriment maybe in Taurus, because he's against his own sign, which is Scorpio. So I don't consider this Mars to be so malefic. Of course, it is depending on how exactly Mars is positioned in your horoscope. People who are very much ruled by Mars, like people with Scorpio or with Leo ascendants or with Mars on the ascendant or Moon in Scorpio, Moon in Aries, or anyways, Mars on U10, Mars in an important position in their horoscopes, of course, will feel this every motion of Mars very, very much, very strongly. But like I'm telling you, while Mars will be until 17th of March of next year in Taurus, even fallen, this is more like the controlled energy of Mars, not really malefic, not really harmful, because Mars, how can we control the warrior-like nature of Mars? Through love, through Venus. So you can imagine logically that Mars in Taurus, sign naturally ruled by Venus, cannot be completely, entirely malefic and bad. He's more controlled. So this is not the classic, and you see that because if you watch the developments of the war in Ukraine, you will see that while Mars is in Taurus, especially when retrograde, you see that this is not the classical war-like situation. You're noticing how this is either this is really controlled. It is controlled from day one, but I mean the battlefield, let's say, has different image than what we know, what we expect. This is because of this energy of Mars. So Mars is becoming direct on the 12th of January. And this is very interesting because he's becoming direct right on the 14th degrees of sidereal Taurus. Sidereal Taurus, I think in the modern tropical astrology, Mars will be in Gemini. Anyhow, he appears visible in Taurus, in Aldebaran. What is Aldebaran? One of the four major royal stars. There are only four, and you know they form the cross. Very important, powerful positions, which are powerful for every culture, every philosophy. This is from every perspective. This is very powerful. So yes, Mars. What is also Aldebaran? I have separate video on Aldebaran. Take a look at this if you want more information. But this is the eye of the bull. This is the celestial, the great bull. This is a star which has the nature of conjunction of Mars and Venus. Now it's a simple mathematics to imagine that if Aldebaran has the nature of Mars and Venus as conjunction, I'm saying nature energies, such are the energies of the star. So if we see that Aldebaran is having such energies, you imagine when Mars is becoming direct in Aldebaran, you can imagine that he will be adding to the martial energy of the star. In addition, I will remind you that this star is directly related to wealth and powers. Wealth and power. I can tell you that very, very wealthy successful in the material world people would have Aldebaran on very important positions in their horoscope. I'm telling you, in the material world, this is very powerful star. Many high-level politicians, even Kennedy, Trump, many have Aldebaran on a key position. This is just to give you an example. So, but again, to remind you, Mars, Venus conjunction is the nature of the star, and Mars becoming direct in this star is adding to the nature of Mars from from the nature of the star, meaning we're having very interesting, complex, multi-layered energy of the star, which means money and power, and becomes more martial, plus Mars, who is controlled in Taurus to a degree, martial energy is controlled to a degree, and then Mars becomes direct, faster, because when a planet is retrograde, it is from our perspective that the planet is moving backwards, but it is not the case. But the planet is slower in motion. So now this direct motion of Mars, of course, will mean that the action nature of Mars will increase. You will start seeing really events taking place. On the first level, you influence, of course, the war-like situation. It will go more it will enter more a phase of typical battlefield situation, but still not as much as it would have been if Mars would be in Aries or in Leo even, or in Scorpio, because we are talking about still until 17th of March. We're speaking of Mars in Taurus, very controlled, very but I think this is in a good way. I've seen so many people having Mars in Taurus, and especially if they're born at night, you don't see this Mars to be much harmful. You see these people really even driven to beauty, even driven to love, if you want. People who are passionate even, it is not really malefic like I'm telling you, but in terms of mundane world events, this may bring like escalation in the war, but not extreme, not what we call true battlefield theater, because again, it's Mars in Taurus. Then, in the meantime, what are the aspects? Well, they're very interesting, because the aspects would be this same Mars, Aldebaran, will be receiving harmonious aspect from Saturn and Venus, trine aspects, benevolent from all perspectives, because you see, Saturn in Scorpio will be in Capricorn, will be very powerful in his own kingdom still, and Venus in Capricorn with Saturn. Venus is, of course, powerful to a degree, a little bit controlled by the Saturn limiting nature, but Venus in Capricorn is in her own simplicity, so she's not without any power. So this is harmonious. Then we will see another harmonious situation, actually no afflictions whatsoever. You see how Jupiter, from his very powerful position in Pisces, so you see Jupiter sextiling harmoniously Mars. So you can see this is not really so malefic, but will speed up, will give some fuel to the martial energy of Aldebaran, meaning star, which means finances and power, will become more Mars, more aggressive, more like drive to power instead of money, let's say. So this may have direct impact. I expect, even also because a couple of days after Mercury becomes direct. So I expect that this is going to have an impact on the financial markets, like change from the direction that would be until that point, really may add to the volatilities of the market tremendously, because Mars and Aldebaran, but more martial Aldebaran, imagine what for Mars energy of a little bit of unpredictability this may be. And I will remind you that even though we have a little bit more controlled Mars energy in Taurus through the love of Taurus, you know, Venus, I want to remind you that in the ancient Babylon, Mars in the face of God Marduk, ruled by, you know, the divinity Marduk, Mars was considered very malefic, very unpredictable. The red, the unpredictable, even the black, they would call him, he would be behind disasters, plagues. They would fear Mars enormously. So yes, this will speed up the energy of Mars, have impact not entirely positive on the warlike events, will turn a little bit, will increase the volatility, will have a change of the courses as you see them on the markets, will be, for some people, this Mars can have impact on their relationships. Let's say you have Taurus in important position in your horoscope, or you're ruled by Mars. This can have direct impact on your relationship, like to make you very emotional, bring a bit of maybe jealousy, strong emotions in people's relationships. But you see, like I keep repeating, I don't see this as malefic as maybe others would see it, because to me, they're a very reasonable way of controlling the Mars energies through love. And this is the energy of Taurus. But like I'm telling you, on these two levels, this will have impact. Like also, when Mars becomes faster, it can have a very positive impact on, let's say, you're postponing some activities, or you're saying, I will be sportive and I will take care of my, maybe of my health from tomorrow, let's say. So Mars will will make you more driven towards beauty, towards maybe art, work, beauty in general. Depending on when he can make you more driven to complete your things, to he can give you this very good motivation to just to do the things, because when he's retrograde, what we associate him with, like ambition, a little bit of aggression, even maybe healthy energy, this is slowed down. And when he becomes direct, his energy will become more Mars, more drive, more motivation, more let's finally finish my thing, let's finally do what I was planning to do and I never did. And this will be supported by the trine of Venus and Saturn. So not so bad. Now, I will not go through the 12th ascendants. I see very little sense in this, because you can imagine, because Mars is, you see, he's carrying very much the energy of Taurus, and you already understand what he may give you. But he will be very important for people with ascendant Taurus, who give them this very healthy drive. He will be very important for people who have ascendant Scorpio, obviously. He will be very important for people who have ascendant Leo, Aquarius, because he's aspecting to strongly, so especially people who have ascendants Leo or Aquarius, be a little bit more careful in these 7 days after he becomes visible, like until the 20th or so, 19th of January, because be careful how you drive, because of the change of the energies, and he's very strong in the first 7 days, So these first 7 days, so people who have ascendant Leo, who have ascendant Aquarius, or descendant Aquarius, descendant Leo, or if you have moon in these positions, sidereal Taurus, sidereal Scorpio, because these first 7 days, while he's changing the course, are a little bit more tricky. So this is basically how I see this important otherwise aspect, but I see the fact that he has no affliction whatsoever very important. And when benevolent planets are looking towards Mars, like Jupiter, like Venus, even Saturn makes aspect to Mars to make him very practical, if you want, not only strategic while he will be in Taurus until 17th of March, but very practical. So I see this even as not such a bad thing. Of course, classically, traditionally, we say Mars is fallen in Taurus. This is maybe so, yes, certainly, but there are also some layers and details which we need to take into consideration. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was my brief analysis on Mars turning direct in Taurus and being there until 17th of March. All the best to you. Have a great 2023 and see you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.